Evan stood in the center of the great alien hall, his heart beating like a drum inside his chest. The room around him was huge, almost endless, with tall stone pillars glowing with blue light. Strange symbols moved slowly across the walls as if they were alive. Hundreds of alien eyes watched him from every side, bright, sharp, and unblinking. He felt like a single human standing in front of an entire world that did not want him there. He had heard many stories about alien ceremonies, but he never thought he would be part of one. And he never imagined the rule would be so strange. Choose a wife with your eyes closed. To the aliens, this ritual was old and sacred. To him, it felt terrifying and unfair. He tried to calm his breathing, but the sound of alien drums shaking the ground made it impossible. Each beat sounded like a countdown, and every echo felt heavier than the last. Evan hoped someone would explain more, maybe tell him this was only a test. But no one spoke. The aliens only stared. In front of him stood a long line of alien women, each wearing a robe that shimmered like water under moonlight. Some looked bored, some looked angry, a few looked nervous. He couldn't tell which one he was supposed to choose, and that made him even more confused. An alien elder stepped forward. His skin was dark gold, and his long white horns curved like frozen lightning. His voice was deep and cold. "Human," the elder said, "our law demands a choice. You will not choose with your eyes. You will choose with your spirit." Evan swallowed hard. Spirit? He wasn't sure he had any left after the fear he felt. The elder raised a black cloth, thick, heavy, and marked with glowing silver lines. "This blindfold will remove distraction. You will walk. You will touch. You will choose. One of them will become your life bond." The words life bond scared Evan more than anything. Marriage was one thing, but this sounded permanent, powerful, unbreakable. He looked down the line again. Some of the women already stared at him like he was a joke. Others did not even bother to look. "This is ridiculous," Evan whispered under his breath, but he knew he had no choice. The ceremony had begun the moment he entered the hall. Two tall guards stepped behind him. They did not touch him, but their presence pushed him to obey. Slowly, the elder tied the blindfold over Evan's eyes. The moment it covered them, the world disappeared. No color, no shapes, no light. Just darkness, thick and silent. The drums changed rhythm. They grew faster, deeper, almost like a heartbeat. Evan felt the ground vibrate beneath his feet. His hands were sweating, and he rubbed them against his pants, trying to prepare himself for whatever came next. "Step forward," the elder ordered. Evan took a slow breath and moved ahead. Without sight, every step felt dangerous. He stretched his hand forward, unsure of what he would touch first. The air around him felt cold, almost electric. His fingers brushed something, a shoulder. It was hard and stiff, the person standing completely still. She did not react. Evan immediately pulled his hand back. Something felt wrong. He moved to the next. This one was even colder, like touching stone. He kept moving. Each time he reached out, he felt nothing special. No warmth, no softness, no sign. The crowd whispered every time he touched someone. Evan felt their judgment. He felt their amusement. Maybe they expected him to panic. Maybe they expected him to fail. His heart pounded louder. The pressure was crushing him. If he chose the wrong person, what would happen? Would he embarrass himself? Would he insult their customs? He had no idea, but something told him this was more serious than he understood. He kept walking until his hand suddenly met something different. A trembling touch. Soft, warm, gentle. Not stiff like the others. His fingers brushed against a small, shaking hand that seemed to pull back in fear, then slowly return and lightly touch his own. The touch was delicate, like she was asking for help, or hoping he would not walk away. Evan froze. The hall fell silent, as if every alien stopped breathing at once. The air grew heavy around him. That single touch felt alive, filled with emotion the others did not have. He had no idea who she was. He had no idea why she trembled. But for the first time, something inside him whispered, "Choose her." And somewhere in the silent hall, unseen eyes widened in shock. Evan stood frozen in the darkness, his fingers lightly touching the trembling hand before him. That small, frightened touch felt nothing like the others he had felt earlier. It wasn't cold or distant. It wasn't stiff or emotionless. It felt real, alive, and full of something he could not explain. Fear, hope, maybe both. The alien hall had gone completely silent. Even the drums had stopped, as if the entire world was waiting to see what he would do next. Evan tried to speak, but his throat felt tight. "It's okay," he whispered softly, unsure if she could even hear him through the blindfold. "I'm not going to hurt you." The hand trembled again, then held his fingers a little tighter, very light, very careful, as if she had been waiting for someone to finally choose her. But there was something else in the touch too. Something fragile, like she was afraid he might let go. Evan felt his heartbeat slow down, but not from fear this time. Something about her touch calmed him, as if she was the only warm thing in this cold alien hall. He let his fingers move gently up her wrist, feeling delicate bone structure, smooth skin, and a faint warmth that felt strangely familiar. But he knew he had never met her before. None of this made sense. Behind him, the alien crowd whispered in tight voices. Does he know who that is? He cannot see. He does not understand. This will cause trouble. Their words shouldn't have mattered, but hearing them made Evan more curious. Why were they so nervous? Why were they whispering like he had made a forbidden choice? He stepped closer to her, letting their hands stay connected. She didn't pull away. She almost leaned toward him, just a little, like she was scared but hopeful. Evan swallowed hard. "Who are you?" he wondered. "Why does your touch feel different from everyone else?" The ceremonial elder spoke suddenly, his voice colder than before. "Human. Are you certain you wish to touch her?" Evan felt the tension in her fingers. She squeezed his hand, almost in fear of what the elder might say next. Evan began. But he paused. He wanted to choose with honesty, not panic. He wanted to choose because he felt something real. He lifted his free hand slowly and touched the side of her arm. She shivered, not from cold, but from nervousness. Each small movement from her sent a strange warmth into his chest. No other woman in the line had felt like this. She was different, alive, afraid, hopeful. He didn't know her face. He couldn't see her eyes, but he could feel her soul. He whispered again, "You're trembling." Her fingers pressed into his hand in response. A silent answer, a silent plea. Evan took a deep breath and let the moment settle inside him. Everything else faded, the hall, the crowd, the rules. Only her trembling hand remained in his senses. "Yes," he finally said, his voice steady. "I choose her." The hall erupted in shock, gasps, sharp breaths, sudden shouting, confusion. The elder slammed his staff on the ground. Blue light flashed across the hall. "Silence," he commanded, but the damage was already done. Evan could feel the tension twisting through the air. He didn't know why they were so shocked, but it made him want to hold onto her even tighter. Her hand squeezed his again, this time firmer, braver, like his choice had given her strength. "You may remove the blindfold," the elder said in a low, angry tone. Evan paused. His heart pounded. He feared that when he opened his eyes, everything would change. Slowly, he lifted the blindfold. Light blinded him for a moment. Shapes blurred. Colors swirled into focus. And then he saw her. Standing in front of him, holding his hand, was an alien. Girl like no other he had ever seen. Her skin gently glowed with soft silver light. Her eyes were bright blue, shining like tiny stars trapped inside. A delicate crown rested on her head, made of thin crystal branches that shimmered with every breath she took. She wasn't just any woman in the line. She wasn't an ordinary alien. She was the princess, Princess Lyria, the royal heir of the alien empire. Evan felt his legs weaken. I chose a princess? Blindfolded? She looked at him with wide, gentle eyes. A scared, hopeful smile touched her lips, the kind of smile someone gives when they have been saved from something terrible. The elder's voice trembled with anger. You, a human, have chosen the alien princes. The hall exploded with chaos behind him, but Evan could only stare at her. Because in that single trembling touch, his destiny had changed forever. The hall around Evan shook with shouts, gasps, and furious whispers, but he barely heard any of it. His eyes were locked on the girl standing in front of him, the trembling, silver-glowing alien he had chosen without seeing, Princess Lyria. Her delicate crown caught the blue light of the hall, sending tiny sparks across her soft silver skin. Her eyes were wide and bright, but filled with something Evan didn't expect, relief. Almost like she had been waiting for this moment, praying for someone, anyone, to choose her. But why would a royal princess tremble in fear? He didn't. No, but he felt that same tremble in himself now, mixing with shock and something warmer. Something he could not yet describe. The elder stepped forward with heavy steps. His golden skin seemed darker now, almost angry. Human, he said, voice shaking. Do you understand what you have done? Evan opened his mouth, but no words came out. He didn't understand anything. He had only touched a hand that felt alive. He had chosen because something inside him whispered that she was the right one. But he had no idea the aliens would react. Like this, guards in silver armor rushed forward, surrounding the princess and forming a half-circle around her, not to protect her from him, but to separate them. They stared at Evan with cold, blade-sharp eyes. Lyria took a small step toward Evan, but one guard blocked her with an arm. No, she said softly. Let me speak. Her voice stunned him. It was soft, musical, and full of emotion. Not royal pride, not command. Something gentler and sadder. The elder raised his staff. Princess Lyria, you are not to be chosen. Lyria lifted her chin bravely. I stood in the line like all others. The law allows it. The law, the elder snapped, was not written for this. Behind him, the crowd became a storm of voices. A human cannot claim a princess. This is an insult to our blood. This will start a war. Evan felt the weight of their words hit his chest like stones. He hadn't meant to insult anyone. He just felt something strong in that touch. He couldn't explain it even if he tried. Finally, he found his voice. Why is this such a problem? I didn't know she was a princess. The blindfold, exactly. The elder cut him off. The blindfold is meant to reveal spiritual connection, not political disaster. One of the guards hissed, under the choice. He is not worthy. Lyria suddenly snapped her head toward the guard. Her blue eyes flashed with anger. No. Her voice was louder, stronger. He made a choice by fate, and I accepted it. The guard froze. Evan stared at her. She accepted me? She wanted this? But why? The elder slammed his staff again. The hall went silent. Princess, he said slowly, you know the rule. Once chosen, a bond cannot be undone unless one partner renounces it. Do you renounce the human? A heavy silence fell over the room. Everyone waited. Even Evan felt his breath. Stop. If she said yes, he would be free from this chaos. But he felt a strange pain at the idea. Lyria looked at him then, not at the crowd, not at the elder. Only at him. Her eyes softened. No, she said. I do not renounce him. Chaos erupted again, but Evan barely heard it. Her words hit him. Like a warm shock, she didn't reject him. She didn't run from him. She chose him back. The elder covered his eyes with one hand as if he could not believe what she had done. "This will change everything," he whispered. I stepped around the guard and came forward. The guards tried to stop her again, but she raised a hand. "Enough, let me stand with him." And she stood beside Evan. For the first time, she was close enough that he could see the faint glow of her skin clearly. Her silver light pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. She spoke quietly, so only he could hear. "I was afraid," she admitted. "If no one chose me today, I would lose everything. My title, my freedom, my rights." Evan felt a chill. "Why?" "You're a princess." "Exactly," she said. "And some want the princess to fall." She swallowed hard. "But when you touched my hand, I felt something. Something warm I haven't felt in years." Evan stared at her. "What did you feel?" She lowered her eyes. "Hope." Before he could respond, the elder pointed his staff toward the massive doors. "Take them both to the council chamber. This choice must be judged." Guards surrounded them again, but this time Lyria reached for Evan's hand, and this time, he didn't hesitate. Their fingers intertwined naturally, the same way they had in the dark. Only now he could finally see the truth. This choice was not a mistake. It was the beginning of something far bigger than either of them knew. The guards escorted Evan and Princess Lyria through long stone corridors lit by floating blue flames. The hallways were silent, except for the sound of their footsteps echoing against the ancient walls. Evan walked beside Lyria, still holding her hand. Her fingers were warm, but tense, as if she carried a weight she had hidden for a long time. Kept glancing at her, trying to understand everything that had happened in only a few minutes. One moment, he was a human caught in a strange alien ritual. And the next, he was standing beside an alien princess who refused to renounce him. She noticed him watching and offered a small, nervous smile. "You are wondering why I was trembling," she said softly. "Honestly, yes," Evan replied. "You looked terrified. And now everyone is acting like I destroyed some ancient rule." "You didn't destroy anything," Lyria whispered. "You accidentally protected something." "Protected?" The word confused him. Before he could ask more, the guards stopped at a heavy door carved with swirling patterns. They pushed it open, revealing a quiet garden glowing under a silver blue sky. The air smelled of sweet flowers and cold metal. Lyria let out a small breath, as if stepping into a place she knew well. "This is the private garden," she said. "The council chamber is beyond it. But before we reach them, you must know the truth." She walked slowly along the shining path, her gown trailing behind like liquid starlight. Evan followed close, unsure if he was ready for what she was about to reveal. Lyria stopped beside a tall glowing tree and touched its bark gently. Her eyes lowered. "Princesses in my world are not free," she began. "We are symbols of power. People want us for alliances, for status, for control. I was placed in the ceremony today because some clans want me broken." Evan felt his chest tighten. "Broken? Why?" She looked up at him then, her eyes soft but filled with pain. "Because I refused an arranged union." He stepped closer. "With who?" Lyria shook her head. "With a clan leader who wanted to use me to claim the throne. When I said no, they tried to call me unworthy. They insisted I join the blind selection, a ceremony meant to embarrass me." Evan's brows tightened. "They wanted no one to choose you." "Yes," she whispered. "If I was left unchosen, the council could remove my title. They could say I am rejected by destiny itself." Evan finally understood why her hand shook so much when he touched it. She wasn't trembling because she feared him. She was trembling because he was her last chance. "And then I chose you," Evan said quietly. "You did," she said with a soft breath, "and everything changed." He looked at her carefully. "But why is everyone so angry? Isn't the choice supposed to be sacred?" "It is," she said. "The bond formed through this ceremony cannot be broken without high cost. By choosing me, you forced the council to accept a connection they never wanted." She stepped closer, her voice quiet but steady. "You saved my title, my rights, and maybe, my life." Evan felt a strange mix of fear and responsibility wash over him. He hadn't meant to save anyone. He had only followed a warm touch in the darkness. But now it meant much more. Aya reached out and touched his wrist gently. "I know you were not prepared for this, and I am sorry if my choice pulls you into danger. But I cannot pretend your presence means nothing." Her eyes lowered. "It means everything." Evan exhaled slowly. "I'm not going to leave you alone. Something told me to choose you, even before I knew who you were." Her lips curved into a shy, soft smile. Before either of them could speak again, the garden door on the other side burst open. A guard rushed in, face pale. "Princess, council members are demanding your appearance immediately. The clans are arguing for your removal, despite the human's choice." Lyria's face tightened with fear, but then she lifted her chin with new strength. "Let them argue," she said. "I will not walk in alone." She turned to Evan. "Come with me," she whispered. "If they want to judge our bond, then we will face them together." Evan nodded. This time, he reached for her hand first. Her trembling stopped, and they walked toward the council chamber, ready to face the storm that waited for them both. The council chamber loomed ahead like a giant dark cave, lit by floating crystals that pulsed with cold blue light. Evan and Princess Lyria stepped inside together, their hands still locked. The room fell silent the moment they entered. Dozens of alien leaders sat in tall chairs carved from black stone, their eyes glowing with distrust and anger. Evan felt their stares like sharp knives on his skin. Lyria kept her chin lifted, but Evan could feel her fingers tense. She was brave, but she wasn't safe here. Not with so many powerful enemies waiting for her to fail. A deep voice filled the chamber. Princess Lyria, growled a large alien with iron-colored skin and sharp ridges on his face. "You dare bring the human with you?" "He is part of the bond," she answered calmly. "He must stand with me." The alien slammed his fist on the stone table. "That bond should never have happened," Evan swallowed. So this was one of the enemies she spoke of. Another council member, a thin alien with glowing purple veins, leaned forward. "The people are furious. A human, an outsider, cannot touch royal blood." "He did not touch my blood," Lyria corrected. "He touched my hand." Her calm voice only made them angrier. Whispers filled the chamber. "She challenges us. She protects him. She must be silenced." Evan's stomach twisted. These weren't disagreements. These were threats. The elder from the ceremony stepped forward. His face was unreadable. "The bond cannot be undone," he declared, "but it can be tested. If the human fails the trial of worthiness, the princess's choice will be considered invalid." Evan stiffened. "Trial?" No one mentioned a trial. Lyria stepped in front of him. "No, the trial is ancient and cruel. Humans were never meant to face it." "That is not our concern," the elder said coldly. "If he chooses a princess, he must prove he can protect her." A tall woman with silver spikes on her shoulders spoke next. Her voice was cold like winter. "We already know the human will fail. Then we remove the bond. Then we remove her claim." Evan felt his blood freeze. This wasn't just about him. They wanted Lyria ruined. They wanted her powerless. They wanted her gone. He stared at her, and she looked back with eyes full of fear she desperately tried to hide. She wasn't afraid of the trial. She was afraid of losing everything she had left. Evan took a step forward. "What is this trial?" The chamber erupted in laughter. "He wishes to know." "Humans fear the dark. This will be amusing." The elder quieted them with a single strike of his staff. The trial of worthiness is simple, he explained. Enter the glowing labyrinth beneath the palace. Survive its dangers. Reach the center. If you succeed, the bond stands. And if he fails? Lyria whispered. The elder's eyes turned to her. Then fate has spoken. He is unworthy, and the princess loses her rights. Lyria clenched her jaw. You want him to die? Many council members didn't even try to deny it. A clan leader stood and pointed a sharp finger at Evan. He is a threat to our bloodline. He is a weakness. Remove him. Evan felt anger rise inside him. He had been dragged into this world, pushed into a ritual he didn't understand, judged before he even spoke. But Lyria, she had suffered for years. He wasn't going to let them break her. Evan stepped forward, voice steady. I'll take the trial. Lyria gasped. Evan, no. He turned to her. If I don't do this, they'll destroy you. She shook her head, desperate. The labyrinth is deadly. Even trained warriors fear it. You're human. You're not built for it. Maybe not, he said gently. But I'm not leaving you alone here. Her eyes filled with emotion, fear, hope. Disbelief. The elder nodded grimly. Very well. At dawn, the human enters the labyrinth, his fate. And yours will be decided. Guards surrounded them again, but this time the energy in the room had changed. Enemies whispered to each other with smug smiles. Finally, they thought the princess would fail. As they escorted Evan out of the chamber, Lyria grabbed his hand tightly. You shouldn't do this, she whispered. They want you dead. They think you can't survive. Evan squeezed her hand in return. Then I'll surprise them. Her breath trembled. You don't understand, she whispered. Inside the labyrinth, something waits for you. Something ancient. Something hungry. Evan looked into her glowing blue eyes and felt a strange calm. I don't care what waits, he said softly. I care about you. Lyria's chest rose sharply, as if she couldn't breathe for a moment. And deep inside the shadows of the chamber, unseen figures watched them, smiling quietly, because darkness had finally begun to move. Dawn came slowly to the alien city, painting the sky with pale silver light that reflected off every tower and crystal spire. The palace courtyard was silent when Evan stepped outside, guided by 2 guards. Princess Lyria walked beside him, her steps fast, tense, almost fearful. She kept glancing at him as if trying to memorize his face, as if she wasn't sure she would ever see him again. Evan noticed her trembling and forced a smile. I'll come back. She shook her head. You don't understand the labyrinth. Even warriors stronger than you never return. I'm not a warrior, he admitted. But I'm stubborn. For the first time that morning, a small smile touched her lips, sad but real. They reached the entrance, a giant circular gate carved into the ground, sealed with swirling silver symbols. The surface of the gate glowed faintly like breathing metal. Dozens of council members and clan leaders watched from elevated seats. They looked satisfied, confident that today the human would fail, and the princess would lose her power forever. The elder struck his staff on the ground. The trial of worthiness begins. The gate opened with a loud groan, revealing a deep downward tunnel glowing with pale blue light. A strange wind rose from inside, cold, damp, and carrying whispers Evan could not understand. Lyria stepped in front of him and held his hand tight. If you feel the walls move, run. If the air turns warm, stop breathing. And if you hear something walking behind you, don't turn around, Evan guessed. Her eyes widened. Yes, never turn around, he swallowed. Sounds welcoming. It isn't. Her fingers tightened. But Evan, listen to me. The labyrinth is not alive. It is something worse. It remembers. It remembers everyone who entered. Everyone who died. Evan felt a chill crawl across his skin, but he kept his voice steady. Then I'll give it something new to remember. Lyria's breath caught. She placed a trembling hand on his cheek. "Come back to me, please." He nodded, then stepped toward the tunnel. The gate sealed behind him. Darkness folded over the world. Inside the labyrinth, the air felt heavy, almost wet, like he had stepped into another planet. The walls glowed faint blue, illuminating long passages that curved unnaturally. Too smooth, too perfect, like something carved by a giant creature instead of tools. Evan walked slowly, remembering Lyria's warnings. Every sound felt sharp. Every shadow looked like it might move. The whispers he heard earlier were louder now, echoing through the tunnels like distant voices calling his name. He paused. "It's just the wind," he whispered to himself. But the labyrinth had no wind. He continued deeper. The passage split into 3 paths, each one darker than the last. Evan reached out and touched the nearest wall. It pulsed lightly under his fingers. Alive? Breathing? Watching? He pulled his hand back quickly. A low rumble echoed behind him, and suddenly the tunnel shifted. The floor tilted. The walls twisted. The paths rearranged like moving snakes. It's reconfiguring itself. Lyria's warning echoed in his mind. If the walls move, run. Evan sprinted forward as fast as he could. Blue light flashed around him. The labyrinth closed paths, opened new ones, and narrowed the space behind him like jaws snapping shut. He didn't stop until the rumbling faded. Panting, he looked around. He now stood in a vast chamber with a pool of glowing water at its center. The air here felt strangely warm, almost inviting. "Warm," Lyria's voice echoed again. "If the air turns warm, stop breathing." Evan quickly covered his mouth and nose. The warm air wasn't comforting, it was poison. Thin shimmering gas rose from the glowing pool, drifting slowly toward him like soft, deadly fog. Holding his breath, he moved along the wall toward the next exit. His lungs burned, his vision blurred. He pushed through the far tunnel and collapsed, gasping hard as cold air filled his chest. "That was close," he whispered. A sound answered him, a soft step. Then another. Slow, heavy, coming from behind. Lyria's final warning hit him like electricity. "If you hear something walking behind you, never turn around." Evan froze. The sound grew louder, closer. The air grew colder with each step that echoed through the passage. He felt a presence behind him, tall, breathing slow, almost sniffing the air. Every part of his body wanted to turn and look, but he didn't. He walked forward, forcing his legs to move even though they shook. The steps behind him followed, matching his pace. Then they stopped. Silence filled the tunnel. Evan kept moving until he reached a narrow stone archway lit with brighter blue light. A voice whispered behind him, soft, ancient, hungry, worthy, or not. He ran through the archway without looking back. Behind him, the passage collapsed. Ahead of him, glowing symbols lit up, forming a path deeper into the heart of the labyrinth. He wasn't safe, but he was still alive, for now. Evan stumbled through the glowing archway, chest burning, legs shaking. He didn't know how long he had been running, but he knew one thing. The labyrinth wasn't a place of random danger. It was a test of fear, instinct, and spirit. And something inside it had been watching him since the moment he stepped inside. Now, as he entered a new chamber, he felt the air shift. This room was vast, round, and filled with swirling blue mist. Strange symbols hovered in the air like fireflies, made of light. In the center of the room stood a raised platform shaped like a star, glowing with a deep pulse, each beat echoing through his bones. He didn't know why, but he walked toward it. Maybe this was the center of the labyrinth, the heart of the trial. He touched the platform, and the entire chamber awakened. Light shot across the walls. The floating symbols moved like they recognized him. A deep voice filled the room, not from behind him this time, but from everywhere. Human. "Why do you walk this path?" Evan spun around, but no one was there. The voice vibrated inside the air, inside the ground, inside his head. He answered honestly. Because they want to destroy her, and I won't let them. The voice rumbled. Again, you choose the princess, blind, without reason. Why? He hesitated, but not for long. When I touched her, I felt someone afraid, alone. Someone who needed me. I didn't choose her to gain anything. I chose her because it felt right. The room went silent, then the mist around him began to twist, forming a giant glowing shape, a creature made of light and memory, with eyes like burning stars. It towered above him, observing him with curiosity rather than hunger this time. Many have entered this place to prove their power, the creature said. Few entered to protect someone else. Evan swallowed but stood his ground. Power isn't what I'm here for. The creature lowered its head until its glowing eyes were inches from his. Then what are you here for, human? Evan lifted his chin. For her. The creature's eyes flared brighter, not in anger, but in acknowledgement. Then you have completed the trial. Evan blinked in shock. What, already? But I didn't fight anything. I didn't even reach. The creature's voice grew calm. Survival was only half of it. Purpose was the other. You walked in with fear. But not for yourself. You are worthy. The platform glowed beneath his feet. A beam of blue light surrounded him, lifting him slowly into the air. The labyrinth walls shifted around him, pulling apart like doors opening for a new ruler. In seconds. Evan found himself outside the labyrinth, stepping onto the palace courtyard again. A gasp rose from the crowd. Council members stood frozen. Clan leaders stared in disbelief, and Lyria. She ran toward him without hesitation. Evan! Her voice cracked as she reached him. She grabbed his shoulders and looked at him with wet, shining eyes. You're alive, you survived. I knew you would. I hoped. He gently touched her face. I told you I'd come back. She pressed her forehead to his chest, breathing in relief. The council watched, stunned. The elder stepped forward slowly. Impossible, he muttered. No human, no outsider, has ever reached the heart of the labyrinth. He didn't. Just reach it, Lyria said, turning sharply. He passed its judgment. The elder swallowed. Then the bond stands. A furious council member shouted. This cannot be allowed. A human cannot shape the fate of our princess. But the elder raised his staff high. The labyrinth itself has chosen. The bond is accepted. The princess keeps her title, her rights, her throne. The crowd murmured in shock. Lyria turned back to Evan. You didn't just save me, she whispered. You changed everything. He smiled gently. Maybe fate wanted it this way. She stepped closer, her silver skin glowing softly. The moment you touched my hand, I felt something strange, like I had felt you before. Her fingers traced his palm. It wasn't just a bond of ceremony. It was something deeper, something ancient. Evan felt warmth spread through his chest. I felt it too. The elders' voice rose behind them. Princess Lyria, human Evan. From this day forward, your destinies are joined. Two worlds, bound by touch. Lyria smiled up at him, not trembling, not afraid, but strong. Are you ready for what comes next? She whispered. Evan looked at her, at the council, at the watching world. For you, he said softly, always. She took his hand, and together, the human and the alien princess stepped forward, not as strangers, not as accident, but as a bond strong enough to shake two worlds.